Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown review. And this is a review of this past Tuesday's Smackdown. And before I start the review, if you guys haven't checked out the previous videos, I reviewed Avengers Endgame. Really enjoyed the film. I think it's the best film in the MCU. So definitely go check out my review of Avengers Endgame. It's a non-spoiler review. And also check out the video that I uploaded yesterday where I unboxed the SummerSlam Complete Anthology DVD, which is in the the style of a cooler. So definitely go check out those two videos if you haven't checked them out. So now on to the Smackdown review. Smackdown on Tuesday was from the Schottenstein Center in Columbus, Ohio. And this Smackdown, just like Raw, this Smackdown was terrible. It was a shitty show, in my opinion. So, I mean, it was as bad as Raw on Monday. So, but that's just in my opinion. But let's get started with the review. So SmackDown opened up with Michael Cole. He was in the ring, and he introduced Kofi Kingston. So Kofi ends up coming out. Michael Cole talks up Kofi's career and his achievement in defeating Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. And he asks if he ever thought he'd get that title match, that WWE title match. And Kofi says, he's learned that you're going to have highs and lows, and you're going to fight through those lows and keep on pushing. And before, Kofi said that, we had video packages of, Kofi, what he did before his WrestleMania match. Like it went all the way back to Elimination Chamber of this year. So Kofi says, he's so glad he chose to fight through because he's standing here as our WWE champion. He goes on to say that he's so proud that he got to do that next. He got to do that next to his brothers, Big E and Xavier Woods. He says because without the New Day, none of this would have happened. He goes on to say that both Xavier and Big E are the guys that proved that the impossible is possible. And Michael Cole says he speaks for the entire WWE universe, and he calls Kofi's win a magical moment. And there are few superstars that have ever had a moment of that caliber. Of course, he's talking about Kofi winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania by defeating Daniel Bryan. And Michael Cole says, he's going to call it perhaps the greatest WrestleMania moment ever when Kofi won the title. And it was a great moment. And it was a good match. The crowd was behind Kofi. It was Kofi Mania. And it was a great moment. I agree with Michael Cole here. That's going to go down. Kofi Kingston defeating Daniel Bryan and winning the WWE Championship is going to go down as one of the greatest moments in WrestleMania history. And Michael Cole ended up, playing the footage of the match of when Kofi won the title at WrestleMania. And, it was cool that we got to relive that moment, considering it happened 3 weeks ago at WrestleMania. And Kofi says he can't believe that he got to share that moment with his family. And it's the greatest moment of his life next to the birth of his kids and also his wedding. And so Michael Cole ends up talking about the target on Kofi's back, and Kevin Owens. And Kevin Owens ended up taking a shot last week, and we saw, a recap of what happened last week with KO. And Kofi says a lot of people have said he should have seen it coming, and he does put a lot of the blame on himself. He goes on to say that the New Day believes in giving people a chance to change, a second chance to change if they want, to change. And he says they believe that Kevin Owens generally wanted to change. And Kofi ends up going on to say that if Kevin Owens wanted a title match, all he had to do was ask, and Kofi would have gladly given it to him. And he says KO, since KO said, that he was stepping on, his head, he was coming for the title, which we saw, last week with Kevin Owens, was saying to Kofi when he took down Kofi at the end of Smackdown last week. And Kofi was like, let him come and let them do it at Money in the Bank. And so Kevin Owens ends up coming out. Kevin Owens ends up accepting Kofi's challenge, and he goes on to say that Kofi did give everyone a WrestleMania moment they never forget, and the WWE Universe loves a great moment. He goes on to say that Kofi won the title on the grandest stage of them all, and that it was so great, and that it doesn't get any better than that. And so Kevin Owens says, but moments end, and they're fleeting. And he's like, now that they saw that moment, they won't admit it, but fans don't believe that. Kevin Owens basically goes on to say that Kofi, that the fans don't believe that Kofi Kingston is actually championship material, which the fans booed at, because we know, Kofi, is championship material. I mean, look what he had to go through to earn that the WWE Championship before WrestleMania. And Kevin Owens looks into Kofi's eyes and ears and hears his voice, and he says Kofi doesn't believe that he's championship material either. And Xavier Woods ends up attacking Kevin Owens from behind, and we see Kevin Owens ends up super kicking Xavier Woods. Kofi ends up coming down to save Xavier, which leads to Kevin Owens running off. And pretty much that's basically how the segment ended. But it was a decent segment to open SmackDown. With Kofi Kingston. And then when SmackDown came back from commercial, we saw Kofi Kingston. He was talking to Xavier in the medic's office. Kofi reassures Xavier, saying that he's got this, and that Xavier should worry about healing up before he tries to save Kofi again. So it was just that. Then we have Becky Lynch versus Bayley. You know, it was easily predictable match. We all seen this come in. We all knew that she was going to win. But Becky Lynch ended up beating Bayley. Becky ended up locking in the Disarmer on Bayley. So, you know, basically, to me, it was a boring match. It was boring. And it was predictable. We all knew that Becky Lynch was going to win. And then after the match, Charlotte ends up coming in the ring. She ends up booting Becky, laying Becky out. And then she ends up throwing Bayley into the ring post. So that's what happened after the match. All in all, it was a boring match between Becky and Bayley. And then we saw Aleister Black. He was cutting a promo. He was in a dark room. He was talking about fear. He goes on to say that fear is a powerful, paralyzing tool. And it's in man's nature to fear what we don't understand. He goes on to say his opponents try to figure him out. And by the time his opponents think they've got it, you know, he's got the 3 count. He goes on to say any hope of conquering that fear has simply left this earth. He says what happens is they take one look into his eyes and they don't like the abyss that stares back because it unveils a truth about themselves, which allows them to fade to black. So this was a cool promo from Aleister. And then we had after that, Kayla Braxton. She ends up interviewing the Hardy Boys, Jeff and Matt. And right when they came out, we saw Jeff Hardy. He was walking with one. Sorry about that, but I was saying when the Hardys came out, Jeff was on one crutch, making his way to the ring. Jeff Hardy explains his injury, which Lars Sullivan ended up injuring Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy says it's easier to show us. He runs. He runs footage of Lars Sullivan attacking, and after the footage was over, Jeff Hardy says he has trouble walking on his own to the point where he needs surgery. And he says he's going to be out for a long, long time. And so what does this mean for them being the SmackDown Tag Team Champions? Well, we all know what's going to happen. So Matt Hardy says, this is going to be hard for them to say. This is going to be hard to say. But Matt Hardy announces that him and Jeff have to vacate the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. Which sucks, but Jeff Hardy has an injury. He's going to be out for a while. And Jeff Hardy ends up vowing to get the titles back on them. And so Lars Sullivan comes out, and he takes down Matt Hardy, dumps Matt Hardy in the ring. And Jeff Hardy, he's struggling to leave the ring. And Matt Hardy returns into the ring to save Jeff, but gets rammed into the corner by Lars Sullivan. Lars Sullivan ends up delivering the freak accident to Matt Hardy. And we see Jeff Hardy gets cornered by Lars Sullivan, and he's ready. Jeff Hardy is ready to use his crutch as a weapon to Lars Sullivan, but R-Truth comes out. R-Truth comes with the chair, and he ends up hitting a chair shot to Lars's back, but it didn't do anything to Lars. And R-Truth goes again to hit Lars with the chair, but Lars ends up swatting the chair. He ends up punching the chair out of Truth's hands. And Lars, once again, just like I think this is like the third week it happened, Lars Sullivan ends up delivering a freak accident to R-Truth once again. So this is the third week R-Truth gets planted by Lars Sullivan. And then we saw Lars Sullivan follows the freak accident up with a Ledger bomb on R-Truth. That's basically what happened. But sucks, that Jeff Hardy is out with the injury. He's going to be out for a while. The Hardys had to relinquish give up the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. It sucks. And so we had, after that, the SmackDown commentary team. They ended up announcing SmackDown's participants who are going to be in the men's Money in the Bank match. And those 4 guys from the SmackDown brand are Mustafa Ali, which is good, which is awesome. Glad that they put Mustafa Ali in it. Finn Balor, okay, another interesting superstar in the Money in the Bank. I'm glad they put the both of them there in the match. The third superstar is Andrade Cien Almas. Cool. And the last, Randy Orton. So there you go. Those are your 4 competitors from SmackDown in the men's Money in the Bank match. Mustafa Ali, Finn Balor, Andrade, Cien Almas, and Randy Orton. Pretty cool. So then we had another women's match. Kairi, Sane, and Asuka taking on some jobbers. It was a women's tag team match. The Iconics were on commentary during this match, but to be honest, I fast forward through this match because I always record SmackDown on Tuesdays because I work late. So I just ended up fast forwarding through this match. I mean, when they're taking on jobbers, the others are going to win. So Kairi, Sane, and Asuka end up winning. Kairi, Sane end up hitting the insane elbow drop, the insane elbow to one of the women. And they didn't even name these women. They didn't give the names of these two women that Kairi and Asuka were facing. They were unnamed. So So Kairi, Sane, and Asuka win. But like I said, I fast forward through this match. Then we saw after the match, Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose were watching backstage. Mandy ends up saying to Sonya that she was informed by Shane McMahon that they are getting an opportunity to be in the Money in the Bank ladder match. But the only thing is, it's only going to be one of them. So Mandy goes on to say that it should be Sonya because Sonya is way more skilled. But Sonya says she sees what she's trying to do. But, she's trying to see what Mandy is, trying to see, what Mandy is trying to do. But she says Mandy should be the one in the match because she almost won the title in the first place. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Sonya says that Mandy should be the one in the Money in the Bank ladder match because Mandy almost won the SmackDown Women's Championship in the first place, and that she should finish the job. We see they both hugged. So there you go. Mandy Rose is going to be in the Women's Money in the Bank match. Then we had Roman Reigns come out. He goes on to say, you only get one shot at making a first impression. And he says he figured on his first night on SmackDown, he'd do exactly that. So he knocked out Vince. He says that wasn't the plan, and it didn't have to be him. But he wanted to get the point across that he's still the big dog, and that SmackDown is his yard now. And so out comes Shane McMahon. Shane insists, Greg Hamilton to give him a short and low-key introduction, which, of course, Greg Hamilton does. And Shane says, he just wanted to remind Roman that this may be his yard, but the McMahons own the land. And Roman says to Shane, he says, no, Vince owns the land. And Roman says, when they were in the ring together, Roman was, he was on his feet, but Vince was on his back. And so Shane says, we all know that he knocked a national treasure to the ground, but it was Reigns who was face down last week. And so Roman ends up saying to Shane that Shane had Elias's help, and asks if he can come down here and do it on his own. Shane says he loved to slap Roman around, but he doesn't have the time because he ended up telling Roman that he's got to catch a flight to Michigan to see a coach that the crowd didn't really like. We heard some boos from the crowd, and that he's going to be working to get himself into shape for his steel cage match at Money in the Bank against The Miz. Shane says if Roman wants a fight, there are tons of guys in the back looking for a fight. And he says he'll send two of them out. So who are these two guys? None other than the B team. Yes, Bo Dallas and Curtis Axel. Yes, they were brought to SmackDown in the Superstar Shakeup. So yeah, we got the B team. So they made their way out. Shane Shane says the B team also want to make a great first impression. And so Roman will be taking on them two in a handicap match. And then Roman ends up saying to Shane, oh, what's next? Is it going to be a blindfold or a hand tie behind his back? And Shane says, he's right actually. And that the match needs something extra. And Shane says there will be a special guest referee enforcer. And who is it that is this special referee enforcer? None other than BOYZ. Yes, Elias. Elias was the special guest referee enforcer. So he was just out there because we had the match next. Roman Reigns versus the B team handicap match. This was boring. This was a boring match. Or you had Elias out there. He was just standing there. There were times where there was parts of the match where he interfered. He ended up taking down Roman. Roman ended up going for the pin at one point. Elias ended up dragging out the ref out of the match. And Roman ended up winning the match, of course. Ended up hitting the spear to Curtis Axel. So yeah, Roman Reigns wins the match. Not surprised. Not surprised. He took on two jobbers. And then we had Finn Balor and Mustafa Ali versus Andrade, Cien, Almas, and Randy Orton. Of course, your four guys in the Money in the Bank ladder match. The SmackDown guys. This was a tag team match. Before the match got underway, when Andrade, Cien, Almas made his way out, he had Zelina Vega on the mic trying to put over Andrade. And then Andrade got on the mic and he ended up going on to say that he's got no respect for Balor or Mustafa Ali. He goes on to say Randy Orton is a 12-time world champion. So anytime he wants to learn something, tag him in and it'll teach him something. And so the match got underway. And the match itself, it was a short match. It was maybe like 12-minute match. But it was okay. Wasn't great though. But Balor and Mustafa Ali ended up getting the win. You had Balor hitting the Sling Blade to Andrade. Balor ended up tagging in Mustafa Ali. Mustafa ended up hitting the 450 on Andrade. And so Balor and Mustafa Ali ended up winning. After the match, we saw Randy Orton. He ended up delivering the RKO to Finn Balor. And we saw Mustafa Ali end up kicking Orton, which led to Orton going out of the ring. So there you go. You had your four guys in the Money in the Bank ladder match and a tag team match tonight on Tuesday night. Then we saw Sarah Schreiber. She was interviewing Amber Moon about her being in the Money in the Bank. Amber Moon is going to be in the women's Money in the Bank ladder match for SmackDown. And we have the competitors who are going to be in the women's SmackDown Money in the Bank ladder match. Sorry about that, but I was saying I'm going to reveal the four competitors for the SmackDown women's Money in the Bank ladder match. So yeah, Amber Moon is one of them. Amber Moon says that she's going to climb the ladder and win. So Carmella ends up rolling up to saying, not so fast, to Amber Moon. And she says Carmella is also in the match, and that she's going to win a third time, no matter what it takes to win. Sorry about that again. Keep getting interrupted. But, so that's what Carmella said to Amber Moon. So, you have Carmella and Amber Moon in the women's Money in the Bank for SmackDown, along with Mandy Rose. So here are your 4 competitors for the women's Money in the Bank for SmackDown. Of course, like I said, Carmella, Amber Moon, Mandy Rose, and also Bayley. Yes, Bayley is going to be in the women's Money in the Bank match for SmackDown. So there you go. So there are your 4 women from SmackDown competing in the Money in the Bank ladder match with the woman from Raw. Then you had Kevin Owens come out for the Kevin Owens show, the KO show. He ends up getting on the mic, welcomes us to the Kevin Owens show. He says the signs and the graphics and the desk that he had. He goes on to say that all that pageantry is crap the New Day would do, and he says he doesn't need that because this is his show and he is the show. He goes on to say that before he was so rudely interrupted earlier, he was trying to make a point. And what he was saying earlier was the truth. And that Kofi Kingston is in way over our head. Is way over his head. Is in way over his head. Owen says that at Money in the Bank, he's going to relieve Kofi of his burden, and he's positive that he's going to win the WWE Championship. He goes on to say, enough about Kofi. He had a great idea earlier tonight for his guest, and to have the great Xavier Woods on the show. He says he doesn't know if he's still willing or able to come out and talk. And so he asks Xavier to come out, humor him, and come down for a chat. Xavier didn't come out. And so Kevin Owens ends up pulling out a figure of Xavier Woods. He was like one of the many, many pieces of crap merchandise New Day have been shilling for years. He puts the action figure of Xavier Woods on the chair that he had, the chair that Kevin Owens had in the ring. And he says he doesn't look as happy as he usually does, and asks if he's lonely. And Kevin Owens was like, oh, good news. He was part of a battle pack. And he also had a Big E figure. And the Big E figure had a, figure form that had a bandaged leg. And Kevin Owens says the figures are useless pieces of trash. And he ends up kicking the chair over. He says he knows exactly what's in their hearts and on their minds anyway. So out comes Kofi Kingston. Didn't get no music. His music playing or anything. Kofi ends up taking off his shirt. Runs, charges to the ring. He ends up starting to have a brawl with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens gets out of the ring. Kofi ends up taking down Owens on the outside off the steel steps. And Kofi's just continuing, with punches to Kevin Owens. Throws Owens over the announce table. And Kofi ends up throwing one of the other chairs at Kevin Owens. One of the office chairs that the announce team sit down on. Kevin Owens ends up eye poking, poking Kofi's eye, poking at Kofi's eye, and he makes his retreat through the crowd. And so that pretty much ended SmackDown. So, but Kevin Owens coming out for the KO show. Xavier didn't come out, so this was a setup. We all know for Kofi to get his hands on Kevin Owens. So, yes. Anyways, that was a SmackDown review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give this video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And until the next video, which will possibly be a movie review. Hopefully get a chance to check out that film, The Intruder, which has Megan Good, Michael Ealy, who I like. He's a good actor. And also Dennis Quaid, in which he plays like a crazy guy. He was like, his character in that film is like the past owner of the house. If you've seen the trailer, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, so if I do see the film, it will be a movie review. That will be the next video. So yeah, so till that video, I'll see you all later. Bye.